Okay, these should be based on special right triangles. This is review part A of the final for geometry. Short leg 4, hypotenuse 2 times it, so it would be 8, and that's tick mark means feet. And then the long leg is the short leg times the square root of 2, so that 3, this would be 4 root 3 feet. Another 45, 40, no, this is a 30, 60, 90. The hypotenuse is 15, so the short leg is half of that. You can write 15 halves or 7.5. That would be y. If you want to use the decimal, it doesn't bother me. In your long leg, 7.5 times the square root of 3 meters. 3, 45, 45, 90, that says the legs are equal, so these are both 14 inches. So y is 14 inches. A double tick mark means inches. Hypotenuse would be 14 times the square root of 2 inches. That's following the patterns, and those are on your formula sheet. Okay, there's been multiple ways that we have solved right triangles. Number 3 is no longer special right triangles. This is simply Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. That is on your formula sheet. The hypotenuse you need to know is the long side, and these are the legs. So you're going to take 9 squared plus 12 squared equals x squared. 81 plus 144, if you add, you get 225. And then you take the square root of 225 to find x. So x is going to be 15 inches. Number 5 is also Pythagorean theorem, but we're missing a leg. So you have to do x squared plus 7 squared equals 25 squared. The hypotenuse is last. We're going to need to subtract 49 from 625. I just evaluated those. 625 minus 49 is 576. Take the square root of 576 and you should get 24. And a single tick mark means feet, so x is 24 feet. Next one, we're finding the hypotenuse. So x squared, if you wanted to start with the hypotenuse, you can. I'm not saying you can't. So x squared equals 13 squared plus 18 squared. And then you guys can type that in your calculator and then take the square root. I think I've done enough on Pythagorean theorem this year. This has probably been overkill. All right, let's move on to 7. I just want to at least show you the setup. So some of these, I'm not going to do all the calculations. Use trig to find the value of x. This, where you're looking from, is where the 25 is. The side opposite would be x. The side adjacent would be 14 because the hypotenuse is blank. Opposite and adjacent is the tangent, and that's on your formula sheet as well. So tangent of 25 equals x over 14. Treat it like a proportion. Cross products are equal. You will be calculating 14 tan 25. Okay, what'd you guys get? How much? 6.5 units. Okay. 8, you're coming from the 25-degree angle. The side opposite is blank. The side adjacent is where x is, and the hypotenuse is 12. Adjacent and hypotenuse tells us to use the cosine. So the cosine of 25 is equal to adjacent leg x over hypotenuse 12. So x equals 12 times the cosine of 25, because that's how this one works out when you do cross products. Tell me 12 cosine 25. How much? 12.7 units. All right. Anybody disagree? Better check your calculator if you're not getting these answers and see if it's in the right mode. It's not, it's at 12 cosine 25. Is that what we were supposed to do? Are you getting 10.9? Oh, okay. Sorry, that's not correct. It is 10.9, guys. Great. You will not be able to use a phone for a calculator. You have to use only calculators. There will be no phones. By the way, try not to even bring or make sure they're shut off before you even walk in the room tomorrow. Let me check number 7. Did you guys get something else? 14 tangent 25? No, that was 6.5. 9 theta. Oh, now we're trying to find an angle, guys, and the leg opposite is given and the hypotenuse. Opposite and hypotenuse is a sine. So the sine of the angle theta equals 10 over 16. How do you get an angle? Yep, you use the second buttons. So second sine of 10 over 16. Second sine, hit 10 divided by 16. And the angle measure is going to be the nearest 10, 38.7 degrees. Okay, number 10. We're back to opposite from 71. This is where you're looking. This is your hypotenuse. So opposite and hypotenuse is the sine again. But this one, you've got the x in the denominator. Be careful. When you calculate that, you have to notice that x times the sine of 71 equals 124, which means we need to divide now. So we're going to divide both sides by sine 71. And that's 124 divided by sine 71. I got 131.1. And that's whatever unit, so I didn't have any units given, so I'm just labeling it with a U. Okay. 11 is asking for ratios, which just means go to angle A, look out from it. This would be opposite leg, this one would be the adjacent leg, and this would be your hypotenuse. And it's asking for ratios, which means reduced fractions. Just for ratios are fractions, and you should always reduce. So from here, opposite over hypotenuse, 8/17, that doesn't reduce. Tangent, 8/15, and the cosine, 15 over 17. Right. 12, I have had issues with people not knowing where ladders go. Maybe you never had to use a ladder. If you have to use a ladder and you want to know how far up a wall it's going to reach, where's the wall? Is this the wall? Is this the wall? This is the wall. I want to know how far. Then where's the ladder? I have people putting the ladder here. If you can't climb a ladder when it's vertical in the ground, you have to lean it against something usually, or they don't really ever go straight up and down unless, I don't know, I've seen some apartments in New York, they got to swing those ladders out even from the walls of the building. But anyway, that's where your ladder should be. And a ladder's 12 feet long, 38, that's a pretty leaned ladder. I'm thinking it would slide right down. You got to be careful to how you put it on the wall too. All right, but we got opposite and hypotenuse. So that's going to be the sine of 38 angle with the ground. Don't put it in the air. Opposite over hypotenuse would be x over 12. So we're going to calculate that x would equal 12 times the sine of 38. Oh, I only did 2. Is this the answer? 7.4. Okay. I just corrected my boo-boo. Okay, 7.4 feet up the wall. 13, where can I put, all right, I already can see, I don't even have to read it. If they gave me the picture, I know I need to find this distance right here. So then I say the angle of depression from the tower to the plane was 32 degrees. Where else can I put a 32? Look for your Z. Okay. Opposite and adjacent, tangent. So tan of 32 equals 180 over x. Careful on your calculation because x is in the bottom. X times the tangent of 32 equals 180. You need to divide. 180 divided by tan 32. I really shouldn't be doing this. Need to try to go a little faster. 288.1 feet. Don't let these word problems scare you. They're not that bad. Except this one, oh my gosh, you read it and you think it looks horrible. It's really not as bad as it looks. Got an archaeological team excavating artifacts from a sunken merchant vessel on the ocean floor. To assist the team, a robotic probe is used remotely. The probe travels approximately 2,900 meters at an angle of depression of 70.4 degrees from the team's ship to the ocean surface, on the surface of the ocean down to the sunken vessel on the ocean floor. It's a lot of extra words. The probe shows a representation of the team's ship in the probe. Now, it's asking us how many meters below the surface of the ocean the probe will be. Where should I draw that? It's not on here. This is the probe went down 2,900 meters. It's down here. I want to know how deep it is. So how should I draw that? Let's go straight from the top of the ocean down. That's the deepness. Okay, it's going to be a right triangle there. Now, I chose not to come from over here just because then I was going to run right into my 2,900 meters, which is on the hypotenuse. Okay, it says justify your answer and give it to the nearest 100 meters. All right, so first, we're going to use opposite over hypotenuse. We're going to use the sine of the angle, 70.4, equals x over 2,900. All right, because we need to find the opposite leg. Okay, we need to find the side opposite the angle, and we know the hypotenuse. Okay. All right, so sine 70.4 equals x over 2,900. Let's calculate it. So we need to do 2,900 times the sine of 70.4. This is a big one, guys, for the final. Meaning I'm going to have an explanation like I'm writing right now. I'll have to have the equation, which I wrote, and then I have to have the correct answer. Now, it's 2732. Okay, but it said to the nearest 100 is 2,700 feet. Or, sorry, it was in meters. So I justified the answer by my drawing and by my statement, calculated it, and then rounded the way they asked. All right. You need to have those components in your answer on your day of your final. Right, volume, simple. For a box, you just multiply the dimensions. Okay, this should be 1,320 cubic meters. 16, you use a formula off your sheet. This is a diameter of 24, so the radius would be 12, and that's what's in the formula. It's 4 pi times the radius, which is 12. Got to cube it and then divide by 3. You guys can type this in the calculator. Does anybody need a reminder of how to do to the third power? All right. I'm just going to, you can push the buttons. I'm going to move on. Cylinder, volume is pi times the radius squared times the height. Do not divide by 3 or 2 or anything else. Just do pi times the radius would be 4, since 8 is the diameter. 4 squared times 15. Quick, get that number. Pi times 4 squared times 15. Should have 753, oops, 754, isn't it, when you round to the nearest tenth? Okay, and that's in cubic centimeters. Okay, 18 is a cone. Volume of a cone is pi times the radius squared times the height divided by 3 on your formula sheet. Pi times 5 squared times 12 divided by 3. I really shouldn't bother typing that in. You guys can do it. Did anybody do it already? 314.2 cubic meters. Thank you. 20, find the volume of the pyramid. Volume of a pyramid is area of the base times the height divided by 3 because it's pointy. It's on your formula sheet. Big B means area of the base. The area of this base would be a square, 24 times 24. That's your big B. Times your height. Uh-oh. Don't have the height. The height is slanted that's given. That's not the one we need. We need this height inside of here. How long would it be from this center to the edge? Cut this in half. It's going to be 12. So we've got to do h squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. Good old Pythagorean theorem. If you subtract 169 minus 144 will give you 25. Take the square root, and that's going to give us a height of 5. So now we know what to plug in for h. So we need to do 24 times 24 times 5 divided by 3. Okay, we got 960, and that would be in cubic meters. Okay, 20. What kind of solid would we get if we spun this triangle around? It would twirl and just be a triangle, right? No, it came out towards you, right, and went behind too, so it's a cone. Well, that's not a very good cone that I drew, but if you understand the idea, it really does look more like this. But it's a cone. That's all it asks. Okay, this is a hard one, and this one's like 3 points on the final. So it's not hard, it just looks hard. Okay, why it isn't hard is, do you know how to do the volume of a box? Do you know how to do a volume of a cylinder? All you got to do is find out, it says, the tanks are not drawn to scale. A tank A is filled with water. The volume of the water that leaves tank A is transferred to tank B. And the height of the water in tank B is 10. We're going to go up to 10 in this tank. Okay, that's going to be 10. So we're going to fill that up, and then it says, calculate the volume of the water remaining in tank A. All right, so let's just figure out these volumes. Volume of tank A. It's a tank. It's a rectangular prism, or a square prism, actually. It's 11 by 11 by what? What's the water level up to? 10. So we need to do volume is 11 times 11 times 10. That's 1,210 cubic meters. If you know 11 times 11 is 121, times 10 is 1,210. Now, volume of tank B is area of the base, which is pi r squared times the height. So if we just pop in pi times 6 squared times, it's supposed to be filled up to 10 meters. Okay, so everything's to the 10 meter mark. So now I'm just going to calculate this. Pi times 6 squared times 10. I got 1,131. All right, now what do I need to do? I got the volume of tank A, got the volume of tank B. You're dumping this water into here, and it's going to take up that much. How much water's left in tank A? I hope you know you're going to subtract. All you're doing is subtracting out water from tank A and putting it in tank B. Okay, so tank A will have 79 cubic meters of water left in it. I did not ask you anything. Go away. I don't even know why that. I have to delete that out now. I don't know what the heck that is. All right, 22. We have to tell if the figures are similar or not and justify our answer. What you have to check is if the sides are all in the same ratio. So is 2 over 3 equal to 1 over 1.5? And is that equal to 2.5 over 3.75? Well, fortunately, you guys have a calculator that does the magic for you. I'm going to check if 1 divided by 1.5 is equal to 2/3. Well, if you only divide them and get a decimal, you get 0.6 repeating. And you could hit math, enter, enter, and see if that's an equivalent fraction. It is. The other amount we need to check is, was it 2.5, guys? Divided by 3.75? Oops. And see if we get the same thing. We'll check it out. You get the 0.666, which is going to be 2/3. You with me? All right, so I've verified that these are equal. So you can either write 2/3 equals 2/3 equals 2/3, or you could have written that 0.6 repeating, 0.6 repeating, 0.6 repeating. I don't really care which one, right? They're all equal, so yes, they are similar by side, 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 similar. Triangles are similar by side, 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 similar. That's your justification. 23 would be, yes, they're similar. Why? Remember the other one was, you had a choice of SSS similar, AA similar, or SAS similar. This one is two angles, AA similar. 24, I don't know why we missed this on a unit test. ABCD is similar to EFGH. Angle D has a 25x on it. It corresponds to angle H. And when you have similar figures, the angles are the same size. You don't have to write a proportion. Angle measures remain preserved. So 25x equals 150. Divide by 25 and you should get 6. On 25, we're asked to find MB. There's a similarity statement, and MB would equal, would be similar or proportional with PB. So here's MB. PB is proportional with it. So 2x minus 7 is to x plus 3. Write a proportion. As 8 is to 5. Okay, we got to do cross products. 5 times my 2x minus 7 is equal to 8 times my x plus 3. You could go ahead and distribute as you did that. That's 10x minus 35 equals 8x plus 24. We would need to subtract 8x. 2 times x minus 35 equals 24. We're going to get a decimal, I think. Add 35. We got 2 times x equals 59 and divide by 2. So I'm thinking you got 29.5 is your answer. And then it said to find MB. So we got to do 2 times 29.5 minus 7. Well, 59 minus 7 should be 52. Okay. All right. I know I'm going kind of fast. I hope that you're all good. 26. Find the ratio of the areas. Well, sides are in a ratio of 3 to 8. So what are areas? 3 squared to 8 squared, which is 9 to 64. Sides get squared. Area, the ratio of the sides, square it. If you were doing volumes, you'd cube it. A man 6 feet tall. Oh, this guy's 6 feet tall, all right. Cast a shadow 4 feet long. That would be on the ground. At the same time, a building casts a shadow 20 feet long. That's all the way from here. How tall is the building? Is that part A? All right, so to do part A, we'll just do a proportion. You can do height of building to height of man. Remember, you can write a proportion correctly 4 ways. Or you could do x is to 20, 6 is to 4, or you can do x is to 6, 20 is to 4. All right, now that would work the same as if you did x over 20, I don't care how you do it, 6 over 4. You see how you got the same things across from one another? All right, so 4x equals 120. You should divide by 4 and get x is 30 feet. Part B asks another part. It says, how far is the man standing from the building? Yeah, this is 4, that's 20, so this would be 16 feet. And then what's part C? Oh, these are right triangles, so it would be side angle, side similar. Is that all it needed? Okay. 28. This one's a little bit trickier. You got a billboard at ground level, has a support of 30 feet that extends from the top of the billboard to the ground. They labeled it for us. A post that is 5 feet tall is attached to the support. A post that is 5 feet tall is attached to the support and is 3 feet from where the base of the support is attached to the ground. Okay, so you got a 5 foot tall post. And it says it's attached to the support, and it's attached to the support 3 feet from where, you see what I'm getting at? It's 3 down there from where the support's attached to the ground. All right, now find the base of the billboard to the base of the support is labeled X. Create an equation that can be used to determine X. Discuss any assumptions you made concerning the equation or drawing. Use your equation to find the value of X. All right, what are we assuming? This is a 3-pointer on your final, guys. It's not too hard, but we need to do some explaining to get all the points. First of all, what are we going to assume about these triangles? What kind? You got a billboard and a post. What are we going to assume? Yes, we're going to assume they're right triangles. Okay, so we're going to assume these are right triangles. Okay, we're going to want to find, see how you got the 30 going from here to here? I need this then, don't I? Because I can't do a proportion until I know that. So it's 30 all the way down here, but I don't know how far it is on this hypotenuse. So we're going to use Pythagorean theorem to find the hypotenuse of the smaller triangle. Okay, so let's do the hypotenuse squared, or y squared, the hypotenuse equals 3 squared plus 5 squared. We're going to get a decimal. Actually, that's 9 plus 25, which is 34. So we could just write y is the square root of 34. Let's just do that. Okay, now that we know the hypotenuse, write a proportion. So we're going to write a proportion to solve for x. And that's really explaining to someone what you're doing. All right, so now we can write a proportion to solve for x. We want to find x down here on the ground. It's in the big triangle. You can do it lots of ways. X is to 30, as 3 is to the square root of 34. That's one way you could write it. If you like going this way, 30 over x, square root of 34 over 3. Okay. Did we really need the post being 5 feet tall? We did so we could find the hypotenuse. That's really the only reason. And then we could have found the height of the billboard too, but they didn't ask us for that. All right, so here's what we got to calculate. Square root of 34 times x equals 30 times 3, which would be 90. So you're going to have to divide 90 by the square root of 34. Okay, 90 divided by the square root of 34. $15.4. And that would be in feet. So you've got 3 parts to this problem being given you the 3 points. One, you have to explain and write in a little explanation of what you're doing. You're going to have to write a proportion and you have to solve it. All right, identify the similar triangles in corresponding order. It says ABC. So what do you start with in the other figure? A is marked, double arc. So that would correspond to triangle F. Then where do I go next? A, B, C. Guys, if you don't know this fast, it's going to be a scary trip, right? F, D, E. Follow the marks. So you know that you went A to B to C. So you'd have to do F to D to E. All right, we need to find X. All right, so we got some corresponding sides. X is on the side DF, and that corresponds to, well, I don't know if you want to, got to check because it's between the single and the double mark thing. Be the side with 12 on it. All right, and then the x minus 5 over 18. Got to do your cross product property and solve. So 12 times x, 12 times 5 is 60, equals, what's that, 72? 4 times 18. You'll have to add 60 and then divide by 12. I believe that's 11. So x is 11. Okay, number 30. Solve a proportion. All right, you got triangle ABC is similar to triangle ADE. If that's true, and this side is cutting this side's proportionally, it should have really told us that these were parallel. But anyway, 5 over x, let's solve it, equals 4 over 7. That 13 kind of throws us off. Don't want to use it. 4 times x equals 35. Divide by 4. Now, if you didn't do that and you went 4 over 11, you'd have to add sides. And that would be equal to 5 over x plus 5, and that would not have been as easy to solve. Is that 8.75? All right, 31, altitudes are proportional to sides, so we want to find RT. I'm going to put an X on it. 14 is to X, as 8 is to 12. And you just need to do cross multiply and divide. You really can just type it all at once. 12 times 14 divided by 8. Going to get 21. I just didn't feel like doing that multiplication. Did anybody write that number down? What 14 times 12 is? 168, and then divide by 8. All right, that's where the 21 comes from. And again, you could just do it all at once and skip writing this step. 32, thing we need to remember is there's a property about tangents coming from a point outside of a circle. These tangent segments would be equal because they come from the same point. So this would be 10. And then down here, coming from point R is 11. That means this other tangent coming from R would be also 11. And they asked us to find Q to R, so it would be 22. 10 plus 11 inches. Okay. 33, use the circle, find the measure of our DAF, measure of the angle DAF, excuse me. DAF is this whole angle right here. So I would take 130, since BD is a diameter, I would take 180 minus 32. And that's 100 and what? 48 degrees. Then it says, find the measure of arc CBF. C through B to F, that would be equal to the central angle CAF. I need to know this angle now. Well, this is 180, so I can find BAC by doing 180 minus 47, which is 133. And then I could put 133 plus 32 to get CBF. So it's 165 degrees. I already know I got the 133, right? That's 180. I did 180 minus 47 to get that. And then I added these two. Okay, 34. Ooh, the measure of angle R. How's this angle relate? It's on your ISN. On your ISN, I believe it says 2x here and x here, right? Or not your ISN, but your formula sheet. It's half, right? So 56 divided by 2, and it's 28 degrees. Bless you. Welcome. 35, you would use Pythagorean theorem. Oh, that's going to justify my answer. Oh, Pythagorean theorem, and that radius to a tangent makes a 90-degree angle. Okay, so what my point is if you have a radius drawn to a tangent, you get a right angle right there. And then you can do the Pythagorean theorem. So x squared plus 8 squared equals 17 squared. Subtract 64 from 289. Isn't it what is that? 225? Take the square root. And that should have been 15. Radius to a tangent makes a 90-degree angle, and we use the Pythagorean theorem. Okay, opposite angles in here are supplementary. These add to 180. So y is 40 degrees. Could you find x? Okay, you would just do 180 minus 77. All right, it's not equal. So if you wanted x, you'd have to do 180 minus 77 to get x. Y was equal to 180 minus 140. All right, I will, okay, 37 says in the circle with center O, AB is 22. We do know that OE is perpendicular to AB, so that means it bisects it. So I'm going to go ahead and label these 11, half of 22. It says O to E is 3, and O to F is 3. Now, since these are perpendicular and the same distance from the center to those chords are congruent then. So these are 11 as well. Then it says to find FD. Well, it's 11. And that would be in centimeters. 38, find the angle ABC. Well, we've got everything but the arc measure that it's equal to. So we do 360 minus 135 minus 95. Is subtracting. It's 130 degrees. Okay, so that would be the measure of the angle, which is the same. Now, if I want to find the measure of angle ABC, I know the arc measure, arc AC, is 130. Then I take half of that to get the measure of the angle. So that'd be 65 degrees, because the inscribed angle is half the measure of its intercepted arc. Okay, this problem says find x and the measure of angle t by writing and solve an equation. Use proper vocabulary, explain how we created it. Well, angle RST intercepts a diameter or half a circle, and the angle is therefore a right angle, and is a right angle. Okay, now with that in mind, the angles of a triangle add up to 180. So the angles of a triangle add to 180. And that's how you created the equation. So let's just do an equation. 3x plus 5x minus 6 plus 90 equals 180. Now, if you said something instead like angle RST is a right angle because it intercepts the semicircle, that would be fine. And then you would need to say, though, that it's a right angle. You could also explain that the two acute angles of a right triangle are complementary and that these angles added up to 90. Regardless, you're going to get the same answer. 8x is going to be plus 84 equals 1. Oh my gosh, I can't write. Excuse me. 180. Subtract 84. 8 times x equals 96. Divide by 8. It's going to be x is 12. Now, it said to find x and the measure of angle t. So the measure of angle t, we need to plug in now. 5 times 12 minus 6, which would be 60 minus 6, and that's 54 degrees. 40, complete the sentence. If a shape is a parallelogram, then opposite sides are parallel and congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. The diagonals bisect each other. And opposite angles are congruent. Plot each set of points and determine the most specific name for the quadrilateral formed. 2, 2, 6, 5. This is A, this is B. 10, 2 would be C. And 6, negative 1 is D. There is more than one way that you can do the problem, but it says it's a quadrilateral. We could check the slopes. Up 1, 2, 3, right 1, 2, 3, 4. So a slope of AB is 3/4. Check and see if the slope of DC is the same. Up 1, 2, 3, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. DC has a slope that's 3 over 4. C, let's see, 1 second. Okay, I need to find the slope also of the other two sides, BC. That would be down 1, 2, 3, right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Slope of AD, down 1, 2, 3, right, 4. So now we know the opposite sides are parallel, therefore it's a parallelogram. And then we can see that these numbers are very much the same. So let's find the distance. Okay, we can do the distance of, or length of AB, square root of, can take the change in x and the change in y. They're all 4 squared plus 3 squared. All of those are going to give you the same distance, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. So all of the sides are 5 because all of these slope numbers are going to give you the same distance. So since all the sides are 5, this is a rhombus. So you could write BC equals DC equals AD equals AB. All the sides are 5. Negative 2, 6. Negative 2, negative 1. Negative 9, negative 1, C, and negative 9, positive 6 for point D. Well, this one will be a little easier in that we have vertical and horizontal lines. You don't want to assume it's a square, so we want to check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 for that side, 7 for this side, CB, 7, oh, all the sides are 7, so this thing is a square. Diagonals of which quadrilateral not perpendicular? Okay, that is not true in a trapezoid. It's true in a kite, rhombus, and a square. Determine the value of x for which x, y, z, w is a rectangle. Well, this must be x, y, z, w. Anyway, it's determine the value of x. The diagonals would bisect each other, so you have an option. You need to set 2 of these diagonals are bisected, so all of these are congruent. So you could go with the easiest pair you wanted. So x plus 10 equals, x plus 6 equals 10 would be the easiest one, giving you 4. But it wouldn't matter what pair you had set equal. If you did 2x plus 2 equals x plus 6, subtract 6, subtract 2, you would have still gotten 4. So x is 4 no matter what you do. 45, the value of x, this is a square, therefore the diagonal bisects the angle that is 90, therefore these are 45 degrees in that corner. And this one, opposite angles are congruent. Y would be 82 degrees. The angles of a triangle add up to 180, so we can do 180 minus 82 minus 58, and that'll give us x. So that's 180. I'm going to add those together, 130, 140. That would give us 40 degrees for angle x. 47, the figure shows parallelogram ABCD. BE is 6x minus 28, and DE is 4x. The diagonals bisect each other. Those segments would be equal. So we're going to set these equal. If you subtract 6x from both sides, you're going to get negative 28 equals negative 2 times x. Divide both sides by negative 2. And we get 14 for the value of x. Now it says, what are the lengths, though, of BE and DE? The property, I don't know if there was any list there for you, but the property is the diagonals bisect each other. That's the property we used to solve the problem. Okay, if I plug back in for BE, it'll be 6 times 14 minus 28, or it would have been easier to do the DE's the same, which is 4 times 14 And that's 56 for both of those. And that's it. Study for your finals and good luck.